Hi, I'm John Cranton with JimFice.tv. Got some NFL previews for 2013. We're going to look at the AFC South division. Now, the Houston Texans, they were projected to win the division last year with an over-under of 10 wins, and they did, going 12-4. But it was not as easy as many expected because the young Colts with Andrew Luck surged to an 11-5 season and made the playoffs. So are the Texans the overwhelming choice to repeat as division champs in 2013? Well, yeah, they are. The Texans are 10-6 and 12-4 the last 2 years. Houston outscored opponents by 103 and 85 points the last 2 years, third best in the AFC in each of the last 2 seasons. They also had their first playoff win in franchise history. That was 19-13 over the Bengals in January. Now, the Texans boast the number 8 rushing attack in the NFL last year, 132.7 yards per game, behind running backs Arian Foster and Julian Forsett. Foster was the workhorse with 1,424 yards, and of course their zone blocking. This is primarily a run-first scheme with a lot of play action, as Coach Gary Kubiak learned his craft under Mike Shanahan. But the passing attack is balanced at times. They were 11th in the NFL behind quarterback Matt Schaub, 22 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and wide receiver Andre Johnson had a terrific year, 1,598 yards receiving. Johnson turns 32 years old this summer and has battled injuries. They also have tight end Owen Daniels with 716 yards. They dumped wide receiver Kevin Walter and has 518 yards. Rookie wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins was taken from Clemson with the number 27th overall pick and is another speedy weapon to go to. Now, Houston's dominant defense under Wade Phillips last year, 16th against the pass, 7th against the run. This defense is ranked 6th and 7th in the NFL in total defense the last 2 years. Connor Barwin had 14.5 sacks combined the last 2 years, and defensive end J.J. Watt is a beast. He had 20.5 sacks last season. Now, the secondary slipped last year and was torched by the Patriots twice, so they signed veteran safety Ed Reed from the champion Ravens. They also upgraded the special teams by adding punter Shane Leckler. That's a tough schedule for the Houston Texans, particularly in October. They've got to play the Jets, Packers, Ravens, and then later on they have a tough 3-game road trip at Detroit, Tennessee, and the Patriots. So you combine that with possible injuries, can't look at the Texans to go over the total of 10 wins. However, with that great defense and a balanced offense that prefers to run, you'd think the Texans were pretty good under the total, and they were 11-5-1 under the total back in 2011, and last season 10-8 under the total in 2012. Wouldn't be surprised to see that trend continue on a game-by-game basis. Then you got the surprising Indianapolis Colts, the rebuilding Colts. They were the big surprise in the AFC last year, projected at just 5.5 wins. Boy, they doubled that, going 11-5, despite losing coach Chuck Pagano for much of the season. Now, what's amazing is that they had so many holes last year. The Colts were 26th in the NFL in total defense. They were horrible against the run, 137.5 yards rushing per game allowed. That ranked 29th in the NFL. And even the offense, they couldn't run the football, which was a problem when Peyton Manning was still there. They ranked 22nd in rushing last season. And would you believe they were outscored for the entire season by 30 points? They were the only NFL team with a winning record where that happened. So they could be in for a bit of a step back this fall. Now, the offense is solid behind quarterback Andrew Luck, 23 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. He really carried the team with 4,374 yards, but he also had 41 sacks along with those 18 interceptions. They still have veteran wide receiver Reggie Wayne, who had 1,355 yards. T.J. Hilton and Donnie Avery are back with over 700 yards apiece. They signed veteran quarterback Matt Hasselbeck to back up Luck, and they took a chance with speedy free agent wide receiver Darius Haywood-Bay, a bust with the Raiders. They also add tackle Gozdar Cherlis. He's added to bolster the offensive line, but their top 2 running backs last year averaged just 3.9 yards per carry, so this is still going to be a pass-first offense. Now, the Colts defense really doesn't look so hot. A sieve up front against the run. And remember, this defense last year allowed 59 points to the Patriots, 33 to the Lions, 29 to Houston, 35 to the Jets, and a 24-9 playoff loss to the Ravens. Now, the Colts took Florida State defensive end Bjorn Warner with the 24th overall pick. The secondary adds Darius Butler and LaRon Landry. Really not very impressive upgrading the secondary. They carry a 9-3 run under the total into the new season, but it wouldn't be surprised to see that reverse with all that passing and a still soft-looking defense. Probably a better team over the total, particularly at home where they play indoors. Then you got the Tennessee Titans. A year ago, we told you the Titans would go under 7 wins as they were kind of a 9-7 fluke back in 2011. Well, they certainly came back to earth last year, falling apart, going 6-10. That included a 38-10 loss to San Diego, a 38-14 loss to Houston, a 30-7 loss at the Vikings, a 51-20 loss to the Bears, and a 55-7 loss at Green Bay. They were really bad across the board, unable to stop the run or the pass. Quarterback Jake Locker, just 10 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and he completed only 56% of his passes, so you have to wonder about him as a passer. And the passing game really should have been better with Nate Washington, Kenny Britt, and speedy wide receiver Kendall Wright. And they add wide receiver Kevin Walker this season from the Texans, along with rookie wide receiver Justin Hunter, speedy from the University of Tennessee. He was the number 34 overall pick. Now, 27-year-old running back Chris Johnson, he did get his touches last year, ran for 1,243 yards, 4.5 yards per carry. But this is an age of passing the football, and Tennessee really doesn't do that very well. Now they add running back Sean Green from the Jets, and the offensive line gets some help with Alabama guard Chance Warmack with the 10th overall pick. If you're looking for a wild card on offense for Tennessee, it might be quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick, released by the Buffalo Bills. He could flourish with all this wide-out speed if given the chance. But this defense of Tennessee, we're not giving this defense much chance of improving at all. They were 26th in the NFL at defending the pass, 24th at stopping the run, allowing 127.2 yards rushing per game. Really not much to get excited about with this rebuilding defense. And Tennessee is on a 6-14 spread run. And even the schedule isn't going to help them out. First 4 games, Patriots, at the San Diego Chargers, a long road trip, then the Lions, and then at Houston. Wouldn't be surprised to see Tennessee starting 0-4. Later, they got road games against Pittsburgh, at Buffalo, at the Packers, and home against the Jets. A very difficult schedule. Finally, in last place, you got to look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were outscored by 189 points last season, second worst in the NFL, while going 2-14. They are a total of 2-14 on the road the last 2 years. They have a new coach, too, and former Seattle defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, and he brings in Jed Fish as the new offensive coordinator. He was the OC at the Miami Hurricanes last season. Now, both new coaches inherit a team with few playmakers on both sides of the ball. The Jacksonville offense last year was just awful, 21st in passing the football, 30th in rushing. They still have quarterback Blaine Gabbert, 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 58% completions. He really hasn't developed much. And the veteran quarterback Chad Henne, 11 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, has been average. The offensive line was a mess last season, adding to the team's quarterback woes, whereas those 2 quarterbacks were sacked a total of 50 times. Henne started the last 6 games of the year. He was sacked 28 times. Now the Jaguars still have running back Maurice Jones-Drew with just 414 yards as he is aging, and he's under contract for another year. And they have young, talented receivers in Justin Blackman, who had 865 yards, and Cecil Shorts III with 979 yards. And they have a newcomer and 26-year-old wide receiver Muhammad Massaquoi from the Cleveland Browns, and he is alongside wide receiver Jordan Shipley in the slot. Now, his offensive line of Jacksonville does get some help with rookie Luke Joeckel, the number 2 overall pick from Texas A&M. The defense, though, Jaguars were 30th in the NFL in total defense last season with a league-low 20 sacks. Linebacker core is decent with Paul Posluszki and Russell Allen, the leading tacklers. But really, when your linebacker is your second leading interceptor with 3 picks, that is not good at all. Not very good overall numbers for Jacksonville. 22nd at defending the pass, 30th at defending the run. Jacksonville was 11-5 under the total 2 years ago. Last year they were 9-7 under the total. Likely another season with this bad offense and possibly improving linebacker core and defense at going under the total. That'll do it for here. We will see you more with JimFeist.tv analysis of NFL and college previews.